June 21, 2023. The gavel struck inside an Anchorage courtroom as Judge Andrew Peterson delivered the sentence that would define Denali Brehmer's future. 99 years in prison. No realistic chance of parole until she is deep into her 80s. Convicted for orchestrating the calculated murder of her best friend, Cynthia Hoffman. But what most people fail to grasp about that sentence is this. Decades ago, Alaska made a decision that ensures her punishment will unfold slowly, relentlessly, year after year. By the end of this investigation, you will understand why her life behind bars may represent something harsher than execution itself. Stay with me, because once you see what her daily existence looks like inside Alaska's only women's prison, your definition of justice may shift. During sentencing, Judge Peterson described the crime in blunt, unflinching terms. This was deliberate, planned, executed with precision. A murder-for-hire scheme that unfolded not in a moment of rage, but as a transaction. The court reviewed footage of Cynthia Hoffman's final moments at Thunderbird Falls, bound with duct tape, lying helpless on the ground. The judge called it one of the most disturbing pieces of evidence he had ever been required to watch from the bench. And what made it even more devastating was the relationship. Cynthia had a learning disability. Developmentally, she functioned younger than her biological age. According to her father, Denali wasn't just a friend. She was Cynthia's closest companion. The person Cynthia trusted most was the one who arranged her death. For money, from someone she had never even met. The plot originated online. Darin Schilmiller, a man in Indiana, posed as a wealthy stranger on the internet. He promised Brehmer money if she would kill someone. She agreed. Then she recruited 4 friends. And she chose Cynthia. Not out of panic, not out of fear, but because she believed Cynthia would be easy to manipulate. That decision, calculated, cold, intentional, reshaped multiple lives forever. But here is where the story takes a darker turn. Because Alaska does not execute prisoners. In 1957, 2 years before statehood, Alaska abolished the death penalty. The territorial legislature declared that execution would no longer be used as punishment for any crime. It was a deliberate break from a troubling past. Historical records showed stark disparities in how capital punishment had been applied. Between 1935 and 1958, 183 people were convicted of murder. The overwhelming majority were white. Yet the only black defendants, Austin Nelson and Eugene Lamore, were executed, along with one Native man, Nelson Charles. No one else faced that penalty. The system was uneven. So Alaska chose abolition. That choice now defines Denali Brehmer's fate. Because without the possibility of execution, her 99-year sentence becomes something else entirely. Execution ends suffering at a fixed point. Her sentence does not. It stretches forward. Decades of repetition. Decades of confinement. Decades of watching time move while she remains still. She is 24 years old, with parole eligibility projected when she is well into her 80s, assuming she survives that long and maintains spotless conduct for more than 60 years. And even then, parole is not guaranteed. Mathematically, she will likely spend more years incarcerated than she has lived free. Every birthday, every holiday, every season, observed from the same walls. She will grow old inside. She will watch her face change in a narrow mirror bolted to a cell wall. Her 20s, her 30s, her 40s, gone behind razor wire. But the location of that confinement deepens the punishment. Brehmer is housed at Hilton Anchorage Correctional Complex, better known in reality as Highland Mountain Correctional Center in Eagle River, just northeast of Anchorage. It is Alaska's only women's prison. In a state spanning more than 600,000 square miles, there is one facility for female inmates, one environment, one permanent address, no transfers across a network of women's institutions, no relocation to a different region for a fresh start. Highland Mountain is it. Originally opened in 1977 as a minimum security prison for men, it was converted to house women in 1986. Though expansions have added beds and medical space, it remains a single-site system. Roughly 400+ inmates, one shared ecosystem. And in a prison that size, anonymity does not exist. Everyone knows everyone's case. Brehmer's crime dominated headlines across Alaska. The details were public, the betrayal unforgettable. Within prison culture, harming the defenseless occupies the lowest rung of respect. She did not just commit murder. She targeted someone vulnerable. That label follows her through every hallway. In a small facility, reputation travels faster than sound. Meals are not simple routines, they are social calculations. Who sits where? Who avoids eye contact? Who whispers? Recreation is not freedom, it is surveillance by peers. Laundry lines, work assignments, common areas, each space layered with unspoken judgment. And then there is the monotony. Lights activate at the same time every morning. No gradual sunrise. No soft waking. Just fluorescent glare. Breakfast at precisely scheduled hours. Food built for nutrition, not pleasure. The system dictates when she eats, when she showers, when she speaks. The recreation yard offers a view of mountains beyond fencing crowned with razor wire. Alaska's wilderness stretches outward, vast, untouchable. Freedom visible, unreachable. And then there is winter. In parts of Alaska, darkness dominates for up to 19 hours a day. Even near Anchorage, daylight shrinks dramatically. Inside prison walls, seasonal shifts blur into extended dimness. Time flattens. Outside, people mark years with graduations, weddings, children. Inside, days stack identically. December feels like February. One year resembles the next. Visitation carries its own strain. Every visitor must clear background checks, travel distances, submit to monitoring. Conversations occur under supervision. Nothing private. As years accumulate, visits transform into reminders of separation. Family members age. Children mature into adults she barely knows. Parents grow frail. She observes it all from a controlled room with staff present. Medical care is similarly institutional. Every appointment approved. Every prescription logged. Privacy reduced. As she ages, chronic conditions will develop. Joint pain, vision changes, blood pressure issues. Each addressed through a correctional system not designed for dignity, but for containment. Mental health support exists, but resources are limited. Depression, anxiety, regret, long-term confinement magnifies them. Guilt over Cynthia's death does not fade simply because time passes. It coexists with the awareness that freedom is no longer part of the equation. Educational programs are available. Vocational training exists. But for someone serving decades, the motivation shifts. Other inmates prepare for re-entry. She prepares for permanence. Achievements feel abstract when there is no practical horizon. And so we return to the central question. Is this worse than execution? Alaska eliminated the death penalty in 1957. That decision removed finality. Instead, it created sentences measured not in endings, but in endurance. Denali Brehmer will likely never walk freely again. She will age inside a single institution. She will watch seasons change from behind fencing. She will measure life in institutional counts and scheduled meals. Cynthia Hoffman lost her future in a moment of calculated betrayal. Brehmer's consequence unfolds slowly, year after year. No dramatic conclusion, only continuation. Some argue that prolonged accountability is the truest form of justice. Others believe finality would be harsher. What do you think? Does a lifetime inside Alaska's correctional system represent deeper punishment than death? Has examining her daily reality shifted your perspective? Tell me in the comments. One fact remains. Every sunrise she sees through reinforced glass will remind her that she destroyed 2 futures that day at Thunderbird Falls. Cynthia and her own.